Glad to have you join us again. Now let's get talking now. First conversation segment of the show this morning. For the 7th consecutive month, Nigerians' annual inflation rate rose to a fresh near 18-year high of 24.08% in July 2023. That's according to the latest inflation report released by the National Bureau of Statistics. The NBS, in its monthly Consumer Price Index report, disclosed that inflation rose to 24.08% in July 2023 from 22.79% in the previous month, and food inflation rate quickened to 26.98% in July from 25.25% recorded in the previous month. Analysts had expected July's inflation rate to accelerate further on the back of the high petrol prices occasioned by the subsidy removal and naira devaluation. To give us more analysis of these figures, Abdulwariz Muritala, Investment Research and Strategy Analyst at Marble Capital Limited, joins me now live virtually as we get talking on this. Abdulwariz, good morning. A pleasure having you join us on the program. All right, if you can hear me clearly now, let me start by asking you of your reaction to the July inflation figure. Did this come as a surprise to you, or it was expected?
Of course, so I think this was expected. If you would recall, I think last month. So we were expecting the impact of the subsidy removal and the FX liberalization on the June inflation numbers before the NBS came out to tell us that the June numbers may not fully capture the impact of the policy reforms because their own methodology only captures 2 weeks of the policy impact. So I think as at now, as at July, so we are beginning to see the impact on the inflation number. So I think this is pretty much expected.
All right, so let's quickly take a look at the CPI report that shows that July inflation rate actually witnessed a 1.29% increase from the 22.79% recorded in the previous month of June. What are the fundamentals, will you say, are responsible for this increment, this increase?
Thank you. So I think, like I've said earlier, so basically we are just getting to see the full impact of the subsidy removal and the rate liberalization. FX with the private market is currently trading at, I think, around 900 levels, so which suggests continuous weakening of the naira. And we also have some element of imported inflation in the country, as inflation remains highly elevated globally. So some level of imported inflation, FX liberalization, subsidy removal, the whole policy reforms are some of the primary fundamentals that seems to have impacted the July inflation number.
All right, for the sake of our viewers, speaking for the likes of the roadside mechanic, the roadside foods vendor, the roadside corn roaster, and also for the sake of people that are within what we refer to as the common man on the streets, can you give us more insight to how inflation, the ripple effect of inflation on households and businesses? How does inflation actually impact their daily living for households, and also what is the ripple effect of inflation on businesses, with focus now to small-scale industry, small-scale enterprises? And also, if you can, how would this also affect large manufacturers as well?
All right, thank you very much. So I think I should start with the individual, then move on to the MSME.
All right.
I think the most obvious one is that private prices essentially resulting to a cost of operation for even businesses. So, for instance, maybe Mr. Omar said, what your maybe 2,000 naira or 20,000 naira can buy you a year ago, you need roughly 30 to 35,000 naira to get that same balance of goods or services. We see the impact for consumers on the cost of transportation. For instance, on a daily basis, I think sometimes last year, you see the cost of moving from maybe islands to Pangu at around 400 naira. As at now, for you to get from the island to Pangu, it's costing you around 600, 700 naira. So that basically goes to show the impact inflation is having on the disposable income of individuals. So we see the impact. So you see the impact basically on food items, basically primarily, because you see that roughly 12% of the 24.08% reported by the MBS in the inflation number is being accounted for food item alone. So food item and transportation are some of the basic impacts, are some of the areas you see inflation eating deep into individuals' disposable income. And for businesses, you see the cost of business operation on the rise. Their employees are beginning to demand for higher wages to cushion the effect of this rising prices, the cost of transportation, the cost of feeding, energy, utilities, etc. So essentially, these employees will start demanding for higher wages, and there's also an increased cost of borrowing for business due to the continuous rate hike. So essentially, when interest rate is high, you see the Monetary Authority trying to manage the inflation by increasing rate hike. So all of this increases the cost of living for individuals and the cost of living for individuals, and the cost of business operation for the MSMEs, like you said, and this might eventually stifle growth in that industry. So it impacts individuals via the cost of living and the business, the corporates, in terms of their cost of business operation.
All right, good one there. Thank you for that practical insight. Now, still staying on what you did make mention of, I want to know from your point of view as an investment analyst, how would Nigeria begin to put their house together, ensure that they're able to meet their daily targets and also survive with all of these macroeconomic challenges that are confronting them? What kind of shifts should they have in their living condition or living standards to be to meet up with current economic realities?
Thank you. So basically, I think it has become very important for us to as individuals to look for other sorts of income to possibly cushion the effect of these challenges that we are currently facing. Another option we might have is to look at investment. So the importance of savings has never been more emphasized. So you can turn your savings when it's equals to investment. You can essentially try to invest in high grade instruments, the likes of fixed income instruments, the likes of commodities instruments, the likes of fixed income instruments that would at least to some extent hedge you against the impact of inflation. So if I can recall clearly last year, I think and I think inflation was average inflation was around 18.93%, and we have the what's it called? We have the yield on bonds around 15%. So essentially, investors do not want negative real returns. So essentially, it's just become very, very important for us to look at basically trying to improve on our sources of income and essentially trying to position well for returns that might hedge us against this inflation that has become really inevitable.
All right. Now, since May the 29th, when President Bola Tinubu announced the removal of fuel subsidy, petrol prices have tripled to 617 naira, while the value of naira has plunged following the floating of the currency. At what point do you see these reforms positively impacting on the economic outlook, and every Nigerian will have to benefit from it? The president has said during this electionary period that it is time to allow the poor breathe. And as it is now, it seems that the policy are already stifling the living condition of the poor. What do you have to say concerning this?
So honestly, I think it should be hard to say that it is at this particular point in time we'll be able to start seeing the positive impact, when basically many of what we do is basically window dressing. So I think recently an attempt was made at unifying the rate. But as we speak, the rate between the CBN rate and the parallel rate is back to, I think, the pre-reform level. So demand for the greenback has remained largely high, and we have even the same pressure from students September academic travels, but with the supply remaining largely tepid. So CBN also released its audited numbers with some disturbing details being uncovered. So honestly, I would say it will be hard to say it is at this particular point in time when we would start seeing the positive impact of this reform. So I think it's just too early to say at this point in time, and we have a lot of uncertainty. So I think it's too early to say it's at this particular point in time we'll start.